Yeah, welcome back to the ORCHESTRATE AI podcast. I'm Daniel Storm, founding president of the ORCHESTRATE AI Forum, a global platform dedicated to accelerating responsible, inclusive, and effective AI adoption. In today's episode, we're diving into what truly defines successful AI adoption in general and talk about what does it take beyond the tech, the tools, the models, really talking about common sense, recommendations about getting it right and avoiding stupid or not so stupid mistakes and consequences, unwanted consequences, since AI adoption is a little bit of a different kind of transformation journey than we are normally used to. What are organizations doing wrong, and how can you increase your chances of getting it right? Once again, I'm joined by Dr. Arthur Corden, Senior Board Member of the Forum, and a seasoned AI practitioner and strategic advisor with over 3 decades of global experience in applied AI across industry and business. Arthur, great to have you back. Before we get into the substance, let's kick off with a few opening thoughts on why this topic matters so much today. This matter of structured, successful, thoughtful AI adoption journey, and why so many AI initiatives still fail to deliver real impact. There's also some prominent examples. I just think about the Klarna example, where they had a complete rollback of their AI journey in the customer service and support industry. So this is also a field where I can relate to a lot, because I have more than 20 years experience in the digital transformation space, both in building in-house consulting units in global organizations in international pharmaceutical industry, across the entire value chain, from research and development all the way to customer service and support, validated environments, GXP environments, and also working for quite a few years in as an external consultant with clients of different sizes. I always found that the essence and the success and failure of transformation initiatives is hardly ever found in the technical solution, in the technical implementation, but more so in the successful project management and preparation of the initiatives, and most importantly, in the organizational change and transformation journey. And we will talk about more about this as we proceed in the conversation. And I'm sure that Arthur can tell a lot more of his own stories. What is important here, and we will talk about this, obviously there's different kinds of scenarios to implement AI. There's different, let's say, target realities when we talk about business and industries for AI, which obviously are requiring different kinds of AI to be applied. Obviously, it's a difference whether you are trying to optimize your process automation and your production with AI in large industry environments, or you want to optimize your accounting department or your customer service and support, or your CRM and marketing automation. All of these are using different types of AI. Arthur is also talking about administrative AI or administrative AI, where generative AI solutions are to be applied. And it will be an interesting conversation, because obviously Arthur is very deeply coming from the industry and process automation background. So let's start the journey with a quick reality check. Arthur, what does successful AI adoption really mean in practical terms based on your experience and perspective?
This is a very easy question to answer. From business perspective, there is one very clear definition of success. In AI, initiative, project, application is successful when it delivers consistent value. Period. There is no middle way of discussion, etc. However, it's very difficult to reach to that point. It cannot be done immediately. This is a process. Sometimes it depends on the complexity of the business and the size of the organization. It could be a very long process, taking years. But let's not forget that at the end, that's the objective. And here is one of the differences between the basic AI, the machine learning type of AI, the data science type of AI that existed before ChatGPT, before December 2022, because that was directed very clearly toward objectives with very well-defined sources of value. When ChatGPT came, it has enormous capabilities, as we know, but justifying the value creation is a little bit fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we talk about different type of applications here, different sectors of the economy, the different impact of AI dependent on the different type of applications of AI. But the key message here is that the first step in this process, in order to accomplish the final goal, creating value, is understanding the type of AI.
Yes.
That's how we begin.
Yeah.
And so we had this deep AI with direct value creation before ChatGPT. ChatGPT, however, gave us different options for value creation, mostly in the administrative area. But recently, and here is a new opportunity, with the growing capabilities of the new wave of opportunities in AI, the new technology of AI-based, LLM-based agents, the agentic AI, with the name agentic AI, some of these language capabilities or rudimentary reasoning capabilities that the language models have could be applied in the form of agents. And we can go back to manufacturing and deliver a direct type of value, but we are very early in that process. But to make it very clear, we have three types of value creation now. One, the standard machine learning, data science type of AI, which we had before, and it didn't disappear with the appearance of ChatGPT or LLMs. Simply, the attention now switched to LLMs, which gave the second very broad opportunity for value creation, mostly in the administrative type of business issues. And it gave another ammunitions to another ways to extract value through intelligent agents, which probably will be very convenient for small businesses. But that's, to me, value creation.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I think it really comes back to the old saying, how do you eat the elephant piece by piece? You know, that you really get it right, that you understand first what is it actually that we are talking about. And you very nicely described the different kinds of starting points when we talk about AI. and then turning that understanding into an actionable understanding that is reflective of my reality in my business, in my industry, in my market, in my regulatory environment, and so on. And from that, developing the relevant understanding for my, even for my department, yeah, and really focus on the starting point, on the first delivery package, getting it right with this first initiative, and then growing from there. Instead of saying, oh, we're going to replace all of our call center agents with AI overnight and then expecting a great success out of this. This has never worked because transformation has always been a blended approach. Yeah. Yeah. So from your experience, what are the most common reasons AI projects fail? Specifically, AI projects fail despite the strong technical foundations. Yeah? So everything is there from a technical, let's say, IT perspective. The funding is there, but still they're not successful.
I may say this is the big management ambitions not supported by AI capacity in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a very clear example from my experience. I'll not tell you from which company, because, with a negative experience is not a pleasant message. But in one side of the company, there was some top manager who wanted to look visionary. And here is one of the biggest damage. We need visionary leaders, but if there are snake oil type of visionary, there are the key sources of future failure. And this guy thought, oh, this is our bright future now. And he initiated more than 30 projects applying neural net. I'm talking at many, many years ago when neural
Mm-hmm.
net was uh, it was not a mature technology. As a result, it was for within 1 2 years, it was a full fiasco. It was the temporary negative damage that this wrong approach has done. But there was a long-term soil poisoning. Then for almost 5 years, if you open your mouth and
Yeah.
mention neural nets,
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
kicked out from that place.
I think this is the most important thing to consider is when you fail in an organization with such an initiative that is of high prominence also, you just don't sink that project, but you're burning the ground for a long time. Yeah. And there's always, we all know there's always an abundance of people of just waiting on the sidelines wanting to say, uh, you see, I told you so. Yeah. And they will be the ones who are going to define the agenda for the months and years to come, simply because of the failure of this initiative that had the right intentions but wasn't executed the right way. Yeah. Okay. Great. So, how critical you think is executive sponsorship, change management, and internal alignment in determining success? So these are all organizational change topics, starting with executive sponsorship. You had some great examples that you may want to talk about as well from the new leadership coming in halfway in the project and things like that. I have my own experience, of course, but it will be great to hear your experience there as well.
And I can tell this is the absolute decisive factor. Now it's relatively easy to introduce AI because it's a hot topic. But when I began 25, 30 years ago, you needed as a manager to have a very strong guts to lead. But what I found, without top management vision, that AI is the necessary driver for future competitive advantage, nothing can happen. But here I have and initially it is a double danger. It's good when you have the visionary person who even move the organization ahead. Even there is a commitment, financial commitment. But I have seen this not once or twice. A change of top policy happens.
Mm-hmm.
A CEO has changed. And then I have seen the tornado effect. The zero vision guy comes as a top leader of this organization, and as a tornado destroys in seconds what had been built, this person destroys in weeks and months what the other leader had been built in years. So that was the situation in the first, when you apply the first steps, when you adopt initially AI. Now I don't see a danger like this because AI is everywhere, but we need to be flexible. And I always, to my students, to the seminars I give about how to start a business in AI, my first message is try to convince the top management about the vision of AI, that without AI in our life, in our business operation, in the future, you will not be competitive.
Yeah.
So the first thing you need to do is to have commitment.
Yes.
If you don't succeed in this, try in another place. Don't waste your time to move further without the vision about the decisive role of AI
Yeah.
for the business in the future. That's, to me, my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I think, executive sponsorship and also internal alignment and successful organizational change management, in this case, it's really the most important, I believe, because the consequences of a failed implementation are just too costly with AI. This is my perspective here. And again, we keep repeating ourselves, but everything starts with understanding. Yeah. And if you are a visionary departmental leader, let's say, and you have an open, accomplished CEO or COO or CIO who's just not so adept yet in the topic of AI. But of course, as you say, everyone understands that it's here to stay and there needs to be something done about it. But even if you just take the effort and write up a 5-page primer for that person and say, hey, it's a given. We all understand AI is there to stay and it's going to disrupt our business and our industry. I prepared a 5-page primer explaining to you what it is, explaining to you what kind of AI we are actually talking about. So really unpacking it. How do you eat the elephant piece by piece? Unpacking it, and then concluding in the second part of those 5 pages on why it matters for us, how it matters for us, what is a step-by-step sequence, how we can conquer this for our business, for our industry, for our profitability, for our success, measurable, yeah, defining smart goals. Everyone knows what smart goals are. And ideally even concluding with a number of suggested quick win pilots where you say, hey, this could be an area where we could build a quick win initiative, this, these maybe country organizations which are small and agile and so on. Yeah. So really explaining what are we talking about? Why is it relevant for us? What could be the starting point for us to build something meaningful? And what people don't understand is the quick win pilots are so important because they will allow you to celebrate success and then scale. Yeah, and it will yeah, and the alignment here is so important. We talked about it before, but I think in this case it's even more important, the phenomenon of shadow IT. Yeah, I don't know if most of you have heard about what is shadow IT, but shadow IT is, imagine you are in an organization, you have an IT department, a central IT department, which is responsible for all things IT and data security and data management, whatever. And you have some very proactive, innovative business departments, yeah, who are focusing on customer service and support or whatever else, yeah. And they have an idea that they want to implement in terms of systems and data and IT, but it's not supported by the central IT department. So if your organization generally gives you that wiggle room, you will find that these people on the departmental level will take advantage of that wiggle room and create solutions on a departmental level. So they start maybe using ChatGPT, or they start using something else, or they start building their own agents, or they start building their own solutions with applications like Lovable or something like this, which makes it so easy. They build their own databases, whatever. And then you have what is called a shadow IT organization. So you have in that department is kind of creating their own IT department internally, competing with the central IT department. And there you already then start having governance issues, potentially regulatory issues, depending on what data is going back and forth, what data is being shared with ChatGPT or other solutions and stuff. So there it's very important to have that alignment, internal alignment, because the damage in the case of AI transformation is just so exponentially higher potentially than it was with previous transformation initiatives, yeah, because of the data that's being shared. And obviously, these are also huge liability risks for the company as such. So there, it's very important that you have a strong governance from the very beginning, and that if there is an interest in the organization in specific departments to go further and to try and to test, you have to be able to harness this and harvest these proactive teams and elevate them on a top level in the organization and create a task force out of this. Yeah, and but really set it up under a general governance. Then you also have, which I found in my own experience many times, you have these little kingdoms. Yeah, you have that IT department who is in charge of the master data management, for example, or whatever, in a very critical part of your business. So they have created over years or decades even solutions that are really black boxes, but they are so critical to the business. And then you start having politics around this. So these things you need to overcome first of all. You need to identify and overcome, because they are also the make or break factors. My belief is that the divide between the silo and the divide that you had between business and IT, that was still a reality 5 years prior, is now really changing. You have more and more a blend of business and IT in terms of business operations. So we don't have that divide anymore. Are you business or are you IT? And IT and business not talking to each other. This is not so much of a reality anymore today in most organizations, not in all of the ones, but that's why it's so important. So no shadow IT islands are starting, no political games are being allowed, to have a strong enough mandate and sponsorship from the top, but an educated mandate and sponsorship, not in the terms of, oh, let's do something with AI because everyone is talking about it, but actually saying, we are going to do this with AI. This is going to be our journey, our AI roadmap for our organization, because we've done our homework. Yeah, we've done our discovery workshops. We have the internal knowledge and task force and internal leadership, business leadership, who are going to lead this initiative and this AI transformation journey, because it's a journey. Yeah, it's a journey. How do you eat the elephant? Piece by piece. So, Arthur, from your perspective, again, we come back to understanding. What are the biggest misconceptions organizations still have about what AI can or should do?
That's, to me, the naive perception that the AI technology automatically, without people's alignment, will deliver the value. As the very clear case was at the beginning, again, maybe 25, 30 years ago, there was one vendor, maybe the only vendor of neural nets at the time in the US. And they did their campaign with a slogan, "We'll turn your data into gold."
Mm-hmm.
And
Catchy.
they went to the manager and said, "Oh, you don't need anything, give us the data and you'll have the prediction. You'll have the prediction and you can run a chemical plant." And a lot of managers like this. So you don't need to spend any efforts to change the company culture, to educate the people, to in fact, without that's why I'm telling the alignment of the people to the technology. This is the difficult process. There is one alignment of a process operator in a control room, a different alignment in a process engineer who is making the decision, or in the financial guy of the unit, etc. And this is the slow process, but this is a decisive process. But the final success of delivering value depends on this, let's say, 3, 4 type of personalities. Even if one of them is not convinced, is not aligned, the damage that he or she could do
Mm-hmm.
can almost diminish the positive result of the technology. So to me, that's the biggest misconception. They think that, oh, we'll buy a hardware, we'll buy a software, we'll sign a contract with some vendors that will develop the software for automating what we need, and that's it. Well, AI will deliver value. No way.
Mm. Yeah.
Without the needed steps in educating the users, all the key participants in the project. Even the best case scenario, and at least I did this, I had the luxury of doing this in the past. In fact, for almost any project of implementing AI, the final users were participating in the projects. It was since the beginning their baby. That's why
Exactly.
when you
Exactly.
deliver the baby,
Yes.
they take care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, they throw the baby, they don't care.
Yes. 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 Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
if the success of the project is not linked to the performance metrics of the individuals.
Yeah.
The best case scenario is, okay, AI at the time was a leading, revolutionary technology. Okay, gave some awards of those who take the risk.
Yeah.
In principle, any AI projects includes the risk component.
Yeah.
It's not a software project, okay, design me a report for this or for that, when there is no risk. Here, it relates to learning, to predicting, to reasoning. In all these 3 components, there is some uncertainty, some unknown. That means, from economic point of view, there is a risk. And as we know, the higher the risk we handle, the higher the benefits we get. But at the same time, if we fail, we need to compensate this risk. We need to award those who have the guts to use AI to move ahead, taking this risk. And this is to me the toughest part.
It is also referencing something that we talked about in one of our previous sessions. I think you called it collective intelligence, yeah. And I've seen many times in my career, for example, also in the implementation of e-learning or learning management systems, where it was really about, oh, now they're going to replace all the trainers, or with e-detailing, now they're going to replace all the pharmaceutical representatives, which has never happened. Yeah? But there was always this outcry and this anxiety. And then, of course, some companies also trying to replace, like again, this Klarna example, and they realize it's not working, and they could have done it at the very beginning. Honoring what you already have in the organization in terms of collective intelligence, someone who has been working 20 years in the process automation and the production of your company, they know exactly what's going on. They know exactly where are the pain points. They know exactly what could be done better, and they're just waiting to be asked and involved in initiatives that are giving them the opportunity to shine in terms of, hey, I actually understand and I know where we can optimize these things and where we can use AI in order to have AI serve as a catalyst and as an accelerator, as an amplifier in order to drive better results, but woven into the existing organization. If you try to replace, if you say, oh, no, now we do this AI initiative, and actually we are building it as a black box in parallel to the current process and organization, and then when it's ready, we're just going to one-on-one replace what we're doing right now. This is not likely going to succeed. Yeah, so you really have to make the existing, as you say, collective intelligence, so the people who are available there and who know what's going on. I mean, you pay them, yeah, you pay them salaries. Why? So you have already invested in them. You have already invested in their knowledge, in their process knowledge, and it would be a shame not to tap into that. And when you weave AI intelligently into that existing organization, step by step, you scale gradually. Yes, you do reduce headcounts or whatever, of course, but you're going to likely take the leading people with you on the journey, and they will only amplify the success of that transformation journey, and they will make sure that they positively talk on behalf of the initiative and celebrating success and making sure that the next step in the scaling and the rollout is also going to be successful. So it is a very, very, very important part of the journey to understand how can we make it part of our organization in the most practical and constructive way. Of course, at the same time, you also have to be aware of who or what may be the roadblock, the ones who say, no matter what, I'm not going to support this. And you have to address it as well. Yeah. But I think one key misconception is that it's replacing something, or that you can simply plug it in and then think everything's going to be fine, kind of. Yeah, everything is going to run. And then, first of all, not having a clear understanding of what type of AI are we actually talking about. Yeah. So we've already talked about this many times. You need to understand where you are. So there we are already in the topic of readiness, talking about readiness. How should a company assess whether it's truly ready to adopt AI, which is obviously part of the understanding at the very beginning. How should a company assess whether it's truly ready to adopt AI?
I think the first thing is, and here is the key topic of understanding the type of AI. And here is the trap. Because generative AI, ChatGPT, is very easy to understand. It's very easy to use. That's why is the delusion that it's you're ready to implement it. You don't need to a lot of preparation efforts to do. You can do it immediately. As for the technical requirements for basic AI, they are more clear. I have a separate chapter in my book about that. It's like a check mark, and it goes, okay, do you have a business vision? This is the first. Or I call it statement of directions. Because why you need to push the gas if you don't know the road?
Yeah.
So the first thing, you need to know the road. And there is a well-established sequence. Yeah, you can test the direction of the road with some proof of concept POCs, at least 2, 3, in order to be sure that it's relevant, it's repeatable, etc.
So you need to
Then,
set the destination. You need to know
yeah,
where you're going.
then is the question of reality. Do you have data?
Yeah.
That's the first challenge usually you have, and the biggest challenge. Do you have the knowledge? Do you have the experts? And do you have the experts of AI? I mean, for the basic AI, for the ChatGPT type, you don't need that.
Yeah.
Because from that perspective, it's not bad. You here for the administrative type of applications, or for ChatGPT type of applications, for mass scale type of applications, we need more social and organizational experience in order to move to the key steps of delivering value. That's the challenge of generative AI. There is no clear, direct route to delivering value. Many things, now because it creates faster code, programming code, I'll reduce, if I'm an IT company and have 10 employees, I'll reduce 50% of them in 1 year from now, because ChatGPT will create, or any of the large language models will generate automatically the code. But this is the non-understanding mindset.
But it's a very easy conclusion to jump to. One industry example that jumps to my mind is what happened to Boeing when it was all about the numbers. Yeah, this is the perfect prominent example. And unfortunately, from my own experience of 20 years in Fortune 500 companies, it happens more often than we would like to think. Yeah, that thinking, that saying, hey, this is that the financial destination is driving the transformation journey, because of the perceived realizable savings.
So what we need to do here is to refocus more for the organizational change, for preparation of the people.
Yeah.
And not to jump fast to the conclusion of removing labor force.
Yeah.
Yeah, here is the dilemma with the generative AI. It reduces significantly the cost of development of a product or a service, but increases the cost of deployment. And especially, there is a high hidden cost of verification of the product. Due to hallucination, you don't know. You almost continuously need to verify the response of that model or models. And this is the part which is new. We are not very well prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be taken into account. And there is one, for example, I forgot the name of one company. They fired, let's say, a couple thousand employees, and then they returned half of them a couple of months later because they realized that it's not so fast.
Yeah.
And by the way, my personal experience from basic AI, and I have implemented at least 50, 60 projects in three large companies. Not in one of them, the final result was a reduction of the workforce, just the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
When an AI project is successful and leads to amplification
Yes.
of the business, the inevitable result is to increase the labor force.
Yeah.
So that's a very narrow thinking that if ChatGPT is doing something fast, this automatically means reduction of the labor force. And that's the key source of competitive advantage. No, it's not. Always the source of competitive advantage is increased productivity, not by reduction of the labor force.
Yeah. So talking about the readiness also, what kind of cultural shift or mindset change you think is required inside organizations to integrate AI meaningfully? And we previously already talked about that there is inevitably a competition between, well, as you said, the young generation that is now growing up in the schools and universities with AI, with the abundance of AI, is going to constitute a completely different generation of workforce and entrepreneurs, creating a completely different marketplace. Yeah.
But here, that's why I began with the key question. What kind of AI? If it is a generative type of AI, you can hire a 10th grade school guy and can do some of the things,
Yeah.
but with minimum potential for value creation.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's a serious direction for the business.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to get the real value, we need a basic AI. In order to do this, we need understanding of the methods we need data, we need a lot of things. That means a lot of check marks for readiness, which for generative AI, we need the English language. We need, as somebody had taught, it's prompt engineering. It's all what I need. All we need is love. All we need is prompt engineering. That's the mindset. Talk to any young guy, and that's the mindset that you will see.
It's very limited.
This is absolutely not sufficient.
Okay.
But in order to be ready for this, you need to have first to understand the real sources of value. That means the inevitable nature of spending efforts on basic AI with all the consequences, including to spend some efforts to be ready to align to these requirements of a basic AI.
Where do you see? Obviously, you come deeply from data science, yeah. And in my experience, across almost all the initiatives, we always have come back to information management, information readiness, data modeling, and stuff. and consistency and inconsistencies of data. So in short, master data, yeah, and master data management, which in many cases has always become the showstopper of the initiative because it became clear, hey, either we don't have the information readily available at the granularity that we need, or we don't have one version of the truth, but we have multiple sources and redundant duplications of data and different definitions of clients and customer data, whatever. How and this probably still today is still one of the key realities in especially organizations that have grown very fast over time, and especially in times of a lot of merger acquisitions with a high cadence. You always bring in new organizations, and then you have to reorganize the master data and so on. So what relevance does the master data quality and availability, kind of, I always call it one version of the truth, play when you are talking especially about introducing a basic AI initiative in your own
But
experience?
that's uh, without high quality data, it's very difficult to deliver any value creation solution
So it
with
always starts
AI.
with the master data again.
It always starts, and even it starts, let's make a broader comment here. Because it was the majority mindset how to build an AI system before COVID. Because it was the, I may say, paranoia, data, big data, data decides everything.
Yeah,
Great. And most of my applications were based on data.
yeah.
However, COVID came in 2020, and in fact, we didn't have data. Because when data is needed for AI, that means they're needed in order to learn the system, to do the machine learning of a potential model that could predict or that could help us in something. But learning from what? The previous case with the Spanish COVID was a century ago. So the only reliable source for these very hectic solutions we needed to find, and I'm talking about my key client at the time, was one of the major paper producer, manufacturer in the United States. That means the demand for toilet paper was jumping to the roof.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
So, you needed to do something. 70% increase of the demand in a month.
Yeah.
It's not easy. But then what we found is that um, we need to broaden our opportunities and sources for AI solutions, not only to data. We have our minds, we have a lot of expertise, and we forgot a little bit about this big source of knowledge and focus only on the data. Now, I think it's a more balanced approach, knowledge and data.
Yeah, for me, it's called information management for a reason, and information, as I say, is the new oil or the new gold or new oil. Yeah. Um, I think it really boils down to understanding your data, so getting your master data right. And I have always said that I'm a business guy, I'm not I don't have an IT background, I have a business background. But if I would say what is the biggest success driver in terms of mindset change is AI has to be understood as a business topic, not as an IT topic, a business topic and a critical executive level, a boardroom level business topic. And so is, because it's so interconnected, is the master data topic. what information are we running through our organization, and what is our readiness in terms of processing and feeding that information into a system that is going to accelerate our business overall, yeah, and amplify our success. And exactly, like we just said previously, it makes a difference whether you focus on the top line and say, hey, let's use AI to do more of the same, to amplify our ability, to amplify our output, to drive that competitive advantage in terms of quality and output, rather than just focusing on the bottom line and optimizing cost and headcount. Yeah. So AI is a business topic. It belongs into the boardroom, and one of the key prerequisites, like with almost anything else in that space, is understand your data and get your data right, which is master data management, which is a business topic, not an IT topic. Yeah? So for me, this is a very central thing that still too many organizations don't get right. They think, it's an IT topic. And this is one of the key things that need to change in order to be successful. One great example for me uh, some time ago was when Philips Netherlands, um, they had a significant phase of success and transformation when they made their CIO the CEO. The entire company changed course and was very, very successful in the subsequent decade. And this is speaking exactly to what I've been just talking about. Yeah, position the topic of AI and the underlying data topic high enough and strong enough in the business of your organization. Yeah? Create awareness, and that will create mandate, that will create sponsorship, that will trickle down through the organization where everyone understands, okay, we need to get this right. Yeah? So I think this is the most important mind shift. And then, of course, developing from the beginning the right kind of understanding. Hey, we are not here to replace you guys. We're not talking to your organization also, and giving them certainty that you're in this together, and that this is not an initiative to replace everyone in the organization, because then obviously you will not be successful in implementing it with the organization. But we already talked about this. So Arthur, from your experience, is there one example that's standing out that was really very smooth and successful, and can you say why? Focusing on the
Yeah,
positive
and
outcomes?
that's an example, and I'm very grateful to the company, that's Georgia Pacific. This is a paper, one of the key largest paper manufacturer in pulp and paper manufacturer in the U.S. And they gave me this opportunity since May 2015, so for almost 10 years, to begin introduction of AI from scratch. But what was maybe the most important fact is that the VP of digital transformation was strongly behind this vision that AI is the future driver of the company, that it is critical for the development of the company.
It's a must-win battle, as I say. Yeah.
Yes. And by the way, one of the factors that opened the door for this opportunity for me relatively easy is that I had a lot of cards to put on the table. Even in the first meeting, he organized a meeting with probably 30 top directors in the three key businesses that this company has. But I have explained my experience from Dow Chemical. And they were immediately convinced, because
You see, exactly.
that's the key factor.
You make it
If you
relatable.
show
Yeah,
that AI is not theoretical blah blah
yeah,
blah
yeah, yeah.
and formulas,
Yeah.
bunch of formulas,
Yes.
but oh, it's a decision in this field, in that field, business solution, and then what he asked this guy, okay, come in a 1 month with 3 suggestions for proof of concept, and
Perfect.
they brainstorm. At that time, they selected the top 3. I
Perfect.
began educating
Yeah.
my partners there, some small infrastructure investment for that, and they saw within 1 year the results. And what also happens for the success is their policy for making decisions if some new technology is successful. This
Mm-hmm.
policy select fast some low-hanging fruits, which are there is a balance how easy they are and how potential
How much impact?
value they can
Yeah.
create,
Yeah.
and then make a decision, yes or no.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if it is yes,
Yeah.
then across these 3 businesses, make a decision what to do, because the first 2 years, this is funded centrally.
Mm-hmm.
But after the second year, then the businesses must fund it.
Put it
That
on their balance sheet.
means
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not a grant.
Yeah.
It has to feed itself
Yeah.
by the value created by the projects. And to me, this is a very good strategy.
So basically, you are confirming exactly what we previously talked about, top level buy-in, understanding it right. They brought you in as a top mind in this area. And one thing that I value very much about Arthur is that he's really able to make it relevant and uh, yeah, conceptual in the understanding, so that you get right, what are we talking about? What is AI? Second thing is, and you had a great entrance because of the DAO experience, you make it relatable. Depending on who's in the room, you always have a way, you always have a chance to make it relatable, as long as you find a use case or a topic or a pain point that they work with every day. So you make it relatable. You create the organizational readiness by creating task force. You just said you have those 3 business leaders, these 3 business units, and each business unit is identifying their quick win, proof of concept pilot, yeah, low-hanging fruits. You are confirming exactly what we've been talking about, and that's why I'm saying it's not rocket science, yeah. And you many times people say, yeah, but it's not working in my situation. You know, I call it BS, yeah, because from my perspective, it doesn't matter if you have 10,000 employees, 100,000 employees, or 100 employees, yeah. It's still about that the person on the top is driving the initiative, is giving the impulse to the organization. We have to do this sponsorship, and literally sponsorship. You just said it. The first 2 years was sponsored by Central. Yeah, that also means sponsorship. So really being an enabler and driving it. So if we talk about the very practical, what are the stages? And I would strongly suggest that this is the same whether you are a Fortune 500 company or you are a small and medium-sized enterprise. Yeah, obviously you have to deal with different kind of levers and different roadblocks and so on, but the sequence is always the same, and Arthur has just confirmed it. The first stage is that you understand whether it's someone is writing a primer or you are inviting an academic AI guru like Arthur, who in his case is not just talking about academia, but he has all this industry implementation experience as well, so brings a very credible record there. Then from that first understanding, you make it relatable. You convert this understanding into actionable understanding for your reality. What are our competitors doing? What application scenarios do we have across our value chain? What competitive advantage can we get out of this? What are most likely use cases and so on? And then you create task forces. You create champions or however you want to call it. You pick people from your organization, you bring in, so you blend in some external knowledge, and you start identifying discovery phase. What are our quick win pilots that we can address? Whether it's one or maybe like in your case, you have 3 business units or different geographic areas, and you say, okay, let's do this one, let's do this one, let's do this one. Yeah. And maybe create a task force, even across countries, 5, 10 people who are working on this, who are then going to feed back into the organization and come back with a lot of credibility. Yeah. Then you execute those pilots. You said they were going for 2 years, kind of, and because they are low-hanging fruits, because you know the probability of them to succeed is relatively high, you are then able to celebrate success and scale. Yeah. And then it becomes a new normal, and everyone wants to become part of a success story. So the people will reduce their hesitance and their resistance, especially if the result is more output, more success, more profitability, whatever, and the anxiety of all our jobs are being replaced is simply not happening. And then people say, hey, wow, this is actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah. Boom. And then you scale into those parts of the organization, which are a little bit more difficult, a little bit more regulated, a little bit more resistance, a little bit more this, a little bit more that. But then you start from a position of strength and transformation success. And what you just explained as an example just reiterates what I believe in, that it's not rocket science, it's not complicated, and the sequence of actions that you need to take are always the same. The recipe for success is always the same, and it has nothing to do, almost nothing to do with what technology you are deploying. Of course, you have to have your technical readiness, your technology readiness, and your data readiness, but that's a given. Either you have it or you don't have it. Yeah. So yeah, so thank you very much for that very practical example. And so, Arthur, if you had to leave today's listeners with a single piece of advice on AI adoption, what would it be?
So be prepared for a long road that requires, above all, conviction and leadership of your intelligence
Mm-hmm.
for a successful adoption of AI. It's not expected from AI to do the adoption. This is the main thought. It's your responsibility. All the burden of successful adoption is on your shoulders. Period. Because the majority of the people don't understand that. They look at AI as some magic.
Yeah, yeah.
That, in fact, they'll relieve the burden of a lot of their
Yes, this
responsibilities
is a
and
very,
make it
very, very
automatically.
important point. Yeah,
Big,
yeah.
big mistake.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's the key.
Yeah,
Yeah, AI adoption, AI is more responsibility.
yeah,
But the final effect is that it will make you more capable, smarter.
yeah,
You amplify
yeah.
you. That's why I'm talking not about AI and us. It's a hybrid intelligence.
Exactly, exactly. And this is so, so, so important, Arthur. I was thinking whether I should open this up now because we are coming to an end, but it's speaking so much to my heart from a change perspective. And this is something I've been criticizing all along with the AI conversation. You have to, you will succeed if you embrace it as a catalyst, as an amplifier, as an accelerator for you individually in your job role and for the company as such. Of course, the leadership also has to see it that way. And we too many times get trapped in the idea that AI has an identity of its own. It's this kind of being, yeah, this metaphysical being that is coming there to replace me and to threaten my existence, and which is something that many people like actually to embrace very quickly because it is relieving them of the duty of using AI to accelerate their actual reality. Yeah, so they're kind of delegating, saying, "Ah, yeah, it's something I can't control. It's a higher being that is being imposed onto me, AI. Yeah, and it's something that I'm anxious about, but I actually can't do anything about it. Kind of. Yeah, and I'm a
And
victim, kind of. And this
sorry
is
for
the
the
big difference.
sorry for the interruption, but
Yeah, please.
this is the central point
Yes.
of the ideology of AGI. You'll be nobody. There is some super powerful, is it AGI? Now Meta even thinks about super intelligence.
Yeah.
But what matters is you'll be gradually put in the corner. AI will take the power.
Yeah.
That's the ideology. That's the $500 billion they'll spend over this ideology.
And
That's
fear is
why
always
I'm
working
so
way. Yeah.
against it.
Yeah. 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 It's true. Yeah, this will be, of course, this will be one of the key topics that we will talk in one of our future sessions with other people as well. But it's so fundamental to embrace this topic the right way. Yeah, because it's here to stay. And if you don't embrace it, then the only one who's losing is yourself and your organization, basically. Yeah? So. Okay, so Arthur, thank you very much for this
You're welcome.
session again. Brings us to the end of the session on successful AI adoption, and we only have scratched the surface, and we will have many, many more conversations with very practical AI adoption stories with many guests. If today's conversation sparked ideas, questions, reflections on your end, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a comment here or send us an email or connect on LinkedIn or through the website. You know, it's very important to have your feedback and also your participation in terms of the Orchestrate AI forum, whether in work groups or in regional chapter. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in and see you again in our next episode. Thank you, Arthur, also. Have a great
You're
day.
welcome.